Hello everybody, I am Dr. Wu and I am listening. Together, we're going to navigate through, thrive in, and grow from this present trauma or any other future crisis. Together, we're becoming better, stronger, and healthier. So this is what I'm hearing. There is still quite a bit of grief. There's still lots of losses. Again, all the 5 areas of life. Loss of relationship because somebody has actually passed away, or a relationship has ended, or 2 is your finances, that sense of security. 3 is your career, what are you going to do? Your life purpose, your passions, who are you? If I don't have a job, who am I? What's there to live for? And then 4 is your health. Maybe you're suffering from ill health and just not able to keep up or do what you would like to be able to do. And then 4, of course, is your higher power, your spiritual self. Could be a crisis of faith. Why? What's the meaning of all this? So there's a lot of grief going on. I did a previous episode on grief, but like I said in that episode, the grief is kind of like the reason why I'm at the tennis court again is because I wanted to also, because this is the grief. Like I said before, grief does not go away. It's still always going to be this tennis ball grief. And this is, let's say, your life. And I talked about the 7 stages of grief, and grief is more like waves. It's going to have waves where you're just going to have to deal with it. But as time goes, and as you actually deal with these things, embrace it, process it, reconceptualize it, honor your life history, then hopefully what happens is your life actually expands, so that even though the grief is still there, it's not as large anymore, because as your life expands like this, then the grief is now just a small portion of it. May come up a little bit, but again, it's not so overwhelming. Okay, but the one I want to talk about today is it's called complicated grief, and that's when grief actually gets stuck, and because of life circumstances. So let's say you have one grief, but unfortunately right now there's so many different things and losses compounding this situation, this pandemic, and life itself, sometimes you just have these strings of grief, and and when it gets overwhelming like that, that's quite worrisome, right? So that's why we want to address this, and this is and I wanted to share this story is one of the characteristics of possibly complicated grief is when it's not processed, when it's not addressed, because you were thrown immediately into a crisis again. And that's what happened actually with me. That was the perfect storm for me. 30 years ago, my beloved father died in 1 month we found out stage 4 terminal cancer, and I'm grateful for the time I was able to spend with him every single day. But just weeks shortly after that, I had two natural grieving sessions where I actually cried. Okay, cried and sobbed, that shaking. It's very important to have that shaking of the body too. Just that's the way God made us. We're just mind, body, and spirit. It has to kind of be all cleansed. So there was two sessions like that. And I did start feeling a little bit better after each session, because I honored the love that I had from and the honor and all the losses, that the things I was not going to be able to ever share with my father. I was only in my 20s. So I remember after those 2 sessions, after the second one, I actually wasn't afraid as much of the grief. Because there's a fear that's going to overwhelm me. I don't know why. Our society, we're just afraid of feelings. Or maybe I was brought up that way. My ethnicity or culture. Anyway, I remember thinking, hey, I think maybe I'm gonna start getting better. I think I can survive without my daddy. On Earth with me. But unfortunately, a few weeks after that, I was actually activated to be active duty. So I was sent away whisked away 6 weeks or 8 weeks actually for Officers Basic course at San Antonio, Texas. So again, away from my primary support, who was my spouse, who adored my daddy. So we were able to, you know, process it together. So that's why it's very important. You have a grief, please share it with somebody that you trust and somebody that actually can understand if it's a peer thing. So I would love to, I'm trying to advocate, if you are a part of the epicenter in the ER department, if you're in leadership, please make sure that you set up some kind of peer support. Just, you know, kind of debriefing what we military do after an operation, you know. You know, a military operation is debriefing. By the way, I never got that, but anyway, that's what I would recommend, because then at least you're with people that have been in combat with you, saw the patients die, saw what's going on, knows exactly how you're dealing with protecting your family, you know, and so forth. And then the other thing is, you know, I do want to ask for some compassion. Some of the other areas in our country may not have as much compassion and empathy for our frontline soldiers, medical and EMS soldiers that are really battling in the trenches, in the foxholes. So I am praying that this compassion comes upon this, and unity comes upon the nation, and not to be proud about, oh gee, you know, California did so much better, Florida did, you know, didn't really feel it, Canada. That's not very helpful for our frontline soldiers, because they want to feel unified. And of course, my heart is very special to New York City, because that's where I grew up. Okay, so I was 7 years old. And you know, before we criticize New York City, let's have gratitude for it. And what an amazing, not just an epicenter of the pandemic, but an epicenter of cross culture. Okay, this is where immigrants, this is where we came. Okay, this is where somebody can come, like my mother, who did not speak English and never drove a car from Taiwan, could actually go there to New York City. Okay, be an immigrant, work hard, you know, legally, whatever, green paper, you know, green card, citizen eventually, but to work hard and to become a citizen and to be able to use the public transportation. And also be able to afford the apartments, you know, which are very close. We were in a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 kids, so 6 people. So so yeah, so just a lot of compassion for New York City, and my love goes out, and I'm really praying that the whole country just embraces New York City. Just do. Yeah, so when the grief gets stuck, because it's so I never got to cry again. Never ever got to cry, never sobbed. Came back, obviously, not in a very good shape, if you can imagine, right? You know, emotionally. Really just emotionally. Remember, the critter brain took over, because I was sent off to Desert Storm, so oh my goodness. Never had a chance. I really did never have a chance. And then because remember I said I was military, a reservist, I came back and I was just plucked out of there, and so I never had a debriefing. I don't even know who my military people are. I don't even know where they are or who they are. And so that's why that really set me up, right, for PTS. So this is why I'm here, to make sure that my frontline people do not get that. And if you're not on the front lines and you're having other grief issues because of loss of identity, career, finances, relationships, and health, then I also here, do not get stuck in the grief, okay? Process it, all right? The other thing is tears. Tears are an amazing thing. You know, I don't know why the culture does not, as if tears are weakness, but no, tears are a sign that you cared about somebody, that you cared about a situation, that it was important to you. That tears are actually a sign of love. And tears come from the heart, okay? It doesn't come from the brain. And that's from Leonardo da Vinci. And I'm just going to share with you just some other quotes. You know, the soul would have no rainbow had the eyes no tears. Now the tears, they're, you know, the human race is the only one that actually manufactures emotional tears when our heart is aching and breaking. Other animals do have tears, but it's functional, it's lubricating, for lubrication. And that there's 3 actually aspects to the human tears. And when physiologically, anatomically, there's a blockage and you actually cannot lubricate your eyes with tears, God has created us so that even if we have emotional pain and we cannot, for some reason, anatomically create tears, we still cry. So that really has to, you gotta ponder that. Tears are God's gift of holy water, healing as they flow, all right? So remember, tears are really the fertilizer that nourishes and heals our aching and breaking and wounded hearts, okay? Helps us grieve. We need to have tears and that physical shaking to actually process through the grief, because there have been some emails asking, how do I process through this grief? I've got, you know, I don't know, there's denial, there's anger, there's bargaining, if only, then there's depression, then I move forward, then I make 3 steps back, and then there's acceptance, okay, I can take it, but then again I go back into anger, or I go into shock again, nah, I can't believe it's happening, you know? So those are the stages. You just keep going. These are just waves of grief. So just honor your tears. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. So it's part of our healing. So let it heal. Let it do its what it's supposed to do. And heavy hearts are like heavy clouds in the sky. You see, and actually just rain just a little bit. And those heavy clouds, and just like our heavy hearts, it's full of water and it needs to come out. So we need to let some of that water go down. And then sorrows really humanize our race, you know. Tears are really, again, just it shows that we're human in this world. And remember, we're the only species that have emotional tears. So treasure that. And this is, I don't know if you ever watched the movie, Mel Gibson's movie, I think, yeah, The Passion. There's one cinematograph that's just amazing, where it's basically the teardrop from the cross. There's one tear goes, and it's slowly, and actually it's actually a tear coming from heaven, from Abba Daddy, and it actually lands at the foot of the cross. Anyway, so a teardrop on earth summons the King of Heaven. So, and I've said this before, that Abba Daddy collects our tears. He hears our cries, he hears our moans, he collects our tears, and he uses our tears, again, to heal our heart, so that we can thrive and grow in this very traumatic and grieving season. So please reach out. Please reach out to a friend, a buddy, somebody you trust. And if you don't, you know, if you don't want to burden other people, then talk out to speak to a stranger, a counselor, somebody, and really let the tears flow. And it's interesting, I was also told recently, don't even dab your tears. Actually let it roll down your cheeks. And that was very interesting. I did that recently. I let it roll down my cheeks. And I really felt it, and I felt there was a soothing, I don't know, sort of a soothing honoring of how much love there was and is and always will be. So yeah, so just honor your tears and sobs. It's okay. Let's cry together. The whole world is grieving. Let's just own it and process it, okay? And to activate my, remember, deep breathing, yeah, all right? 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out. 5 in, 7 out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Activates left and right side of the brain. I just counted. Now I'm gonna sing. I got my both sides of my brains, that prefrontal cortex, brilliant brain going, all right? Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Let the tears flow. Tears are fertilizers to heal your hurting heart. In the name of the great physician who is making you whole again, Yahweh, Rapha, and Jehovah Jireh, the Lord that provides all that we ever need. Dr. Wu listening, love, compassion, tears, sorrow, joy, health. Let it all come and be healed.